Okay. Okay. So are there any general questions? I guess today we're going to talk about like what assignments are going to look like, what daily work looks like, what we're going to cover these next 2 weeks and the rest of the class, and what the final exam is going to be like. And then I'm going to speed through section 6.1. Um, yeah. Are there any questions that I haven't talked about or that I said I wouldn't talk about? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody. Again, you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. It's just to prevent background noise. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so there is my screen. Okay, so first things, let's talk about what the class will be like. Um, Again, it's important that you're checking Blackboard. So I've updated Blackboard, so look how like mathy and fun it looks. Um, Again, I will be posting like announcements if anything goes on. Um, the announcements and emails are pretty similar. So if I make an announcement, it'll send it as an email if I wanted to. Okay, assignments is a real good place to choose. Um, you have all these places here. Now for daily work, you can go to the folder that it's in. So exam 3, we only have one daily work. And you can submit the paper daily work here. Again, if you click further down, you've got options for submitting it. But also the daily work, the same question or the same type of questions are also available on Alex. So if we go over to Alex, and we go to class, I'll move this over here. Okay, you can go to assignments, and again, I guess you're not in student preview. Let me do that real quick. Okay, so in student preview, or hopefully this will look similar to what it was at. Session ended. Good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, when you go onto your Alex, um, you can go to your assignments, which again, this looks different because it's not in student view. And then the daily work is also there. So that same daily work that was on Blackboard is also there. So you can complete it on Alex and you'll get the same points for it. And they're going to be due every, um, okay, so the way that daily work's going to work, it's just going to be like regular class time. So I'm going to assign daily works Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and I'll give you till Sunday to do them. Does that sound reasonable to get all 3 of the daily works done? Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you for using the chat. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be the plan. You'll get 3 daily works a week, just like regular class time. It'll either show up here in the assignments or on Blackboard. It'll show up in both, and you just choose which one you want to do. So if you like paper submission, you're welcome to keep doing that, but you have the Alex submission. Now for tests, the exam will also be on Alex. Now, the exam will be solely on Alex. There won't be a printout exam. So, and it's with this test lockdown browser, which just means that once you start it, you're not able to exit out to something else, and you have to keep the test going. Um, so the test will be on Alex. It is it's the same type of questions that I put on your review that I put on the paper review or the paper exam that I wrote for this, but I'm switching straight to online. So the exam 3, if you study that review, it will help. And when we meet again this week, um, we'll talk about the review and kind of reviewing for exam 3. Uh, when you're on Alex, you should be able to, and I'm kind of mad that it for some reason locked me out. Um, so okay. So while I'm pulling this up, the the exam will be solely on Alex, but there's going to be a submission for you, and I don't know what I did with it. I think um, assignment. Huh. Okay, so there's going to be a place to submit your scratch work for exam 3. So that means Alex is going to grade your exam, and I'm going to look at it before it inputs the grade so I know what you get. Um, but by submitting scratch work, which again is just like a paper a submission, I can kind of grade it more accurately, right? I can give scratch work and thing or partial credit. So submitting your scratch work for the exams is going to be an option. I would highly suggest you take it. That way, I can just give you guys partial credit where credit is due. So that is in regards to that. Okay, so here we are. This is the student view. This is what you guys see. Anyway, if you go over here to the three little drop-down things, you have all these options. So assignments, that is where you're going to find your daily work, and I sent you guys a knowledge check just to get you kind of a nice review, okay, because it's been a long time since we've all done math. It might surprise you, but I don't sit here and just like do math all the time. Okay, so that is where you can find your assignments. Your exam will pop up here. Um, I'm not sure why it's not there, but it should be there. Just to, it'll be Friday and Saturday. Again, the deadlines we'll talk about later. Oh, and you can take the exam at any like between those times. So right now it's open from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. Friday to 8 p.m. Saturday, and you can take it anytime. But once you start it, you have to finish it. You can't like stop and go back. Are there any questions on the exam before I continue? I have the okay. I have the chat pulled up now too. I didn't know I could do both. Okay, perfect. So that is how the exams are going to work. We'll get to the final here later. But anyway, I wanted to show you guys this. So you can go to review and you get a blank screen. Okay, so then you should be able to like choose what you want to review. Um, so this is a pretty good place to go. I thought it showed more. Okay, here it is. Click the down arrow here. Um, yeah, and so here you can pick your topics and things like that. So this is a good place to just get a review if you wanted to on Alex. I am now going to go to textbook. Now, this chat screen thing. Okay. Um, okay, so when you're at the ebook, um, this whole next 2 weeks, and I'll show you here in a second, are going to be different than the rest of the semester just because we're trying to get caught up. But once you're here, you can again click any of these sections, and I take the notes straight from this textbook or online textbook. But if you go to media, you have a list of all of these instructional videos for certain topics. So if you go down to chapter 6, which is what we're talking about now, you can click that, and then it plays like a little video. So that's a really good place to get extra help with that. I'm going to try to make videos that are similar to that, but this is all here for you guys, and it's all part of that. So be sure you're doing that. With images, it's just if you wanted to see some of the book, that's not as useful. But yeah, so the media source is really good, and same for the textbook. Okay, so let me close that down. Okay, so are there any questions so far? We've talked about the exam, and we've talked about daily work submission. Any questions on those at the moment? Okay, so next thing is when we're gonna meet. So I gave the option, the survey that was like, hey, pick these times. Well, I'm gonna throw that idea out because I think that the best times to meet would be the class times. I feel like it would make the most sense to meet Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. And so I think that's where we're gonna go back to, and it'll be like this style here. Um, Now, like I said, I'll show you here in a second what the notes are gonna look like and how we'll take that. Um, but yeah, that's how it's going to go back. We're being recorded, so it'll be uploaded to that YouTube channel that I uploaded the other ones to. So you're welcome to go back there and check those out. And I'll post the link to that channel um, in announcements. Okay, so that's when we're meeting Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I'll send another reminder out tomorrow and Thursday just to kind of get back in the rhythm of things. But that's when we're going to meet. So again, if you can't make it, that's okay. It'll be recorded. Okay, so next I want to show what we've got planned. Okay, so here's your pacing guide. I've also given you this too. I'm going to close the chat. Okay, Okay, so Monday, which is what we're on today, I've made instructional videos about that because I kind of wanted to just jump into the new material this week. So the old material, which is this right here over exam three, is on YouTube, and the link is there. Um, but as you can see, there's a ton we have to cover, and it's mostly because we lost a week, um, or a week and some days. So yeah, so there we are. Today I'm gonna do a quick thing over Tuesday's lesson. Oh gosh. Okay. And then Wednesday, I'm gonna cover like I'm gonna split Thursday up into 2 days, and that's what we're gonna cover tomorrow. And then Thursday is the rest of what we would cover Thursday and Friday. So I'm just gonna, these next couple lectures will be kind of long, but that's gonna get us through this week. Now, again, you have your exam Friday and Saturday. Would anyone want it from Saturday to Sunday? I personally don't like doing things on Sunday, but I'll probably only give a 24-hour window, or a 48-hour. Um, I don't know. Is everyone okay with Friday and Saturday? Mm, Okay. Okay. I'm gonna keep it Friday and Saturday. That way we can get that material done and we can move on to the other ones. Okay, so basically the next 2 weeks are gonna be a little packed, right, with everything. And I'll probably do the same thing next week where I'm actually just cover all of Tuesday into one, but I'll decide how it's split up. But it'll be that where we meet Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. The good news is after week 12, week 13. This is the old pacing guide. It will go right back to normal. So yeah, so week 13 we'll cover these, and then your exam will be Thursday. Now again for the exam, it'll probably be like open. I guess I could open it Thursday or Friday. We'll talk about it the closer it gets, but you'll get another 2-day window to take it. Um, okay. Are there any questions over that? How class is going to go when things are offered? Back to the chat now. Okay. Again, you're welcome to speak up, and you can do the chat is also good. Okay. So that's what we'll do. We'll meet Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. It's kind of a new idea. I thought I would um, you know streamline it here. Okay, so that ends that. I wanted to do, oh yes, and the final. Okay, um, so the way the final's going to work, I'm trying to think of what the least distracting thing would be. Okay, so the way the final's going to work is it's going to be online, um, and the department's going to send each of us instructors like 1 or 2 questions, and we're going to make like 20 versions of that particular question. So then here in Blackboard, move this down here, I'm going to exit student preview. So the way it's going to work is all of us instructors are going to just basically make the questions for this exam, and it's going to be given to you via Blackboard. So we can't go through Alex because some of the other classes don't use Alex, or I think it's easier to do it through here. So for a final. So basically, it'll be made through here. Can't quite remember. Okay, yeah. So basically, each one of us is going to make a question. So there's going to be different versions of the test, and then I basically give it to you, and you're assigned to that. Now, I don't know what day it's being offered yet. I think they told me, but I don't know offhand. But that is how your exam is going to work. Oh, okay. If I remember correctly, it is through finals week. So you've got all week to choose, I think. So if I remember correctly. So that is how your final is going to work. It'll be submission through here. Again, I'll probably like have you submit scratch work so I could grade that as well. Because again, Blackboard's just going to grade it as is. So you either get like all of it correct or none of it correct. So again, scratch work submission will help you with that, with daily work. Are there any questions over the final and how it's going to work? Okay. So, are there any other questions or anything that I missed of how the class is going to run? Yeah, any clarifying questions I could give? Again, these next 2 weeks, I'm going to cover a lot of material, just trying to get caught back up. But after week 13, it'll slow back down, and then we've only got 3 weeks after that, so it'll go pretty quick. Um, oh, right, the discussion boards. So I've invited people to the other discussion board, which, to tell you the truth, I haven't checked, because for some reason on my phone I can access the discussion board. So, like, I have an app, so you can download the app. I don't know if anyone could actually see what I wrote. Um, but yeah, I can log in here and see. For some reason, my computer won't let me do it. Like, it just won't let me work on my computer, which is kind of a problem because I don't anyway like to do that. So the discussion board on there, I will keep checking. But I've also created a discussion board. Um, yeah, yeah. Shelly asked, scratch work is just our notes, correct? Yeah, it'll be basically like if you needed to figure out what 48 plus 320 is, you would fill that out, and that way, if you just added one number incorrectly, I can still give you most of the points as long as your math is correct. So yeah, the scratch work is just a good way to, when you work out a math test, it's always good to have like a little piece of scratch paper to jot stuff down on. Also, I don't know what sort of files people use, but I use this like Adobe Scan. Oh, I don't know why it closed. Okay. Yeah, it's called Adobe Scan. And it allows me to take a picture of a piece of paper and it converts it to a PDF. So it's a really nice thing to do. Okay. So your discussion board is here. You can ask any questions here or on the discourse page. Again, the discourse page, you had to have an invite sent to you. This discussion board, it's just open here for you. So both those, as well as email, are really good ways to reach me there. So make sure you're taking advantage of those, and hopefully it'll go smooth. Um, this whole process will go good. I know it's a bit jarring because we switched over. Are there any other questions before we start with the material? I hit the chat again. Go. Will our meeting? Yes, yeah. You're welcome to have like a webcam if you would like. You could do that as well. But yeah, for right now, I think I'm going against making YouTube videos. I think that the in-person may be better. I don't know, you guys could ask me questions, and I'll still record it and upload this to YouTube, so you can watch them there. We can't upload to Blackboard itself because they charge the school money, I think is what they said. So that's why we do YouTube. It's a way around paying people. But yeah, this is how it'll go. Again, if you can't make it, it'll be pre-recorded. I'm gonna try to make them not super long. That's the goal. Um, yeah, and okay, so that's a good question or a good like segue into this. So this is how the notes are going to look. So I'm using this. I don't know where to put the chat menu. I'm just gonna minimize it. Yeah, so I'm using this OneNote. Oh man, I can't see the chat when I'm in here. Okay, so we'll probably just go like this and move it over. And I've got a little I don't know how to like hide this stuff. Anyway, I've got a little pen and I'll be doing my writing and stuff with that. So if you watch the YouTube videos, it's pretty painful because I've never used this before. But yeah, basically you'll log on to Zoom, we'll open this up and we'll just start taking notes. And then your daily work will be on Alex and Blackboard, and you can choose how you want to do it. And then yeah, that's how the class will go. Good question. I forgot to show. This is how we'll take notes. Any other questions before we jump into this? Can you guys see when I have the Zoom chat group thing open? Okay. And you could probably see that whole like sidebar there too. Okay. All right, so if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and get started with the notes. Oh, you don't see it? That's good. It takes up a lot on my screen, um, but that's okay. So I think I might move this down here. I don't know how to like, yeah, I don't know why, Rochelle, you're chosen to be the person on that one there, but it's at least a little bit smaller to work with. Okay, so no more questions. We should be able to get done by about like 7, I would say like 7:45, 7:50 for this, for section 6.1. Okay, so we're done with the stuff on exam 3. So here at the end, if you have questions over that, we'll talk about it. So, but for right now, we'll just get into this new material here. Um, so section 6.1, definition of an nth root. I was able to copy and paste these straight from the book, so it looks a little more better, I think. So the definition is b is the square root of a if b squared is equal to a. So for example, I could say 2 is a square root of 4 because we've got 2, 2, 2 squared is 4, right? So speaking of that 2. Someone go on the mic. What's one other example that we could see here? Defining a square root. Anyone would like to share? Okay, so how about this? How about if I wrote 7 is a square root of, that's a 7, right? So now we're talking 7 squared. So then we know that it's a square root of what number? Well, it's whatever this number is squared, 7 times 7, which is, good, 49, right? So that is what a square root is, right? Your base here is your square root. It's saying this number multiplied by itself 2 times gives you 49, right? So that's just the introduction to the definition of a square root. There's some nice like tips here the book gives. All positive real numbers have 2 real valued square roots, one positive and one negative. So for example, if I wanted to look at, if we wanted to figure out what is, oh gosh, not 81 squared. If we wanted to figure out what are the square roots of, yeah, what these would be, right? Hopefully everyone remembers, well, you take the square root on both sides and so far. So here, you would get 9. 9 is one of your square roots. What would the other one be? Do you remember? Be thinking, right? What number times itself gives you 81? Well, 9 does, but so does negative 9, right? So negative 9 as well, since negative 9 times negative 9 is equal to 81. I'm going to mute you again, Shelly. Or just unmuted. Okay. So yeah, furthermore, 0 has 1 square root and it's 0. Right? That's just saying the square root of 0 is 0, right? Because positive 0, negative 0, it's all the same. And then a negative number has no real valued square root. So for example, for this one in particular, if you had like square root of negative 4, well, currently we don't know how to do anything with that. So this is your solution to this currently would be no real solution. So that is what that one is talking about. Okay, so moving on here, we've got let A represent a positive real number. So here we're talking about positive and negative square roots. So the square root of A is a positive square root of A, and this is also called the principal square root. So just a little book definition for you. And negative, or the opposite of square root of a is the negative square root of a. Again, we kind of define square root of 0 equals 0. It's important to note that if you had like negative, or negative square root 3, that is the same thing as saying negative 1 times the square root of 3, right? So the number out here is just multiplying to that square root, right? So if you had like 2 square root 3, that's just saying 2 times the square root of 3. So just kind of notation there is what that is talking about. Any questions so far? Anything in the chat? Okay.
I was gonna say, scroll back down for a second.
Okay, up here. Okay. I don't think I had any other. Yeah, and if you can't read something, please let me know. I can't look down. This is what I'm using, so I have to like look at the screen and make sure that I'm level with what I'm writing. So you guys should have seen the first videos. I tried to make you. It was really bad. So it hasn't gotten much better. Okay, I'll move down just a little bit further so we can keep going. Again, remember this is recorded, so you're welcome to go back and check those out there. So I'm actually going to, well, we won't move it up. Okay, so the definition of an nth root. So yeah, your definition is b is an nth root of a if b to the n equals a. So again, this is just saying if you're looking at 2 squared is equal to 4, 2 is a second root. Now again, nobody really ever says second root. It's square root is your it's more commonly called a square root, but a second root of 4, right? So down here, when you're looking at the fourth root, it's just determined by the power, right? So if I wrote, again, going down just a little bit further to here, right? If I was going to say, I don't know, 3 to the 5th power, oh gosh, I don't know what that is. We're going to call it x because I don't know what, well, I guess I got a calculator right here. Anyone 3 to the 5th power? 243. So again, if you're just writing it out, describing what this root is, it'd be 3 is a 5th root of 243, right? So just kind of connecting, spelled 5th wrong. What is there an extra? Anyway, yeah, it's there. But yeah, so this is all just definitions. We'll get to some examples here. But going down, we'll keep defining what these mean. Does 5th have 2 F's in it? I feel bad, I shouldn't erase that. Someone spell it for me in the chat. So you guys are involved here.
F-I-F-T-H.
There is an extra F. Okay, thank you. Root of 243. Okay, thank you. Okay, so again, that's just kind of definition. It really, what you're looking at here is it's tying this nth root to the power here, right? So that's the takeaway from here is this is your power. It's also the nth root of whatever your base is here. Okay, so moving on here. Now we need to define this right here is called a radical. A radical sign. Now usually put in here, and that determines the nth root, right? So that's why when you write this, it's called a square root. but mathematicians are lazy, and there's actually a little 2 here. Um, but so this is a radical. This is actually the nth root. So just kind of like signs and things like that. That is what the nth root is. Um, which, yeah, okay. I don't think I'll add much more to that. I'm gonna go down just a little bit more to here. Again, this is recorded, so um, it'll be uploaded here later tonight. Okay, if n is greater than 1, this is just evaluating the nth root, right? So speaking of n, I'm gonna might make it a little bit larger, right? So speaking of n, we're talking about this. We're saying um, this has to be bigger than 1, right? And if it's an even integer, that means, 2, 4, 6, right? So we're saying n in this case is some even number, right? Then the square root of, or the nth root of a is the positive nth root, just kind of like how up there, it was your principal square root, right, if it was positive. Right, and then we have evaluating it this way, saying the fourth root of 625 is 5. Um, right, because this is really looking at number one example. If you had the fourth root of 625, that equals 5. But going the other way, you could be saying, well, what is 5 when you raise it to the fourth power, right? Or what is 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, right? So it's just saying um, what number what number times itself, oh, hold on, yeah. What number times itself 5 times or 4 times, excuse me. Getting all jumbled with my thoughts here. It would be if I wrote the cubed root of 169. Um, well, actually, let's do no 169. Let's do the square root of 169. Right? The square root of 169. It's saying what number times itself 2 times gives you 169. Right? So um, that would be 13. Right? 13 times 13 is 169. So that's how you can think of evaluating those roots. Now, here for number 2, um, it's a little bit different, right? Because if I wrote the square root of 16, right? That's saying this is um, this is saying uh, what number times itself twice is 16, right? And hopefully it's 4, right? Um, uh, 4 times 4 gives you 16. So we know that the square root of 16 is 4. But whenever we have an odd, like -8, well, now we talked about up there where we can't have a negative underneath, a square root, right? But, think about like what the issue would be if you had the square root of -4, right? Because now we're saying uh, what number times itself 2 times, right? So here it's saying we've got 2 numbers, x and x, and they have to multiply to give you a -4. See, the issue here is, well, any number, 2 numbers multiplied together are going to be positive, right? Because they're the same number. So it couldn't be -2 and -2 because that gives you a +4, right? So anytime you have an even number, you can't take the negative underneath there, right? That the negative will not work under the square root if this root is positive. So over here, right? If oh gosh, if n, oh my goodness, sorry, adjusting to the pen. If n is even, then this is not a no real solution. So and that's just right because you can't have two numbers that would give you a negative number, right? You have to have that. So, but the nice thing is here with I'm gonna bullet point them like that. If you had -8, now the cubed root of -8 is -2. Now, again, the question, and again, that's kind of right here. Um, when you have the cubed root of -8, it's asking you what number times itself 3 times gives you -8, right? Um, but we can see that because it's a negative, um, the -2 works, right? Because you got -2 times -2 times -2. Now, this gives you a +4, but that extra negative brings you to -8. So you can have a square root, or you can have a negative under an nth root as long as n is odd. So, um, if you wanted to put if n is odd, then the nth root of x, of -x, um, is possible. That's probably what I'll put there. So that is kind of what that is talking about. Are there any questions leading up to this point? I've included, move it down just a little bit. Um, this whole thing right here is pretty nice. Again, I know my fourth roots okay. I probably couldn't tell you what 4 to the fourth is without doing a little bit of mental work to get it up there. And of course, fifth roots. I think I know like 2 to the fifth. So I thought this was a nice thing, and it's it's there for you. Again, you can find it on the ebook. Um, move it down just a little bit to right here. Okay, so I think this is the last material, and then we'll do a couple examples, and should be done before 8 o'clock for sure. Okay, so if n is a positive odd number, again, now we're evaluating something a little bit different, right? Because recall that up here, we were talking about the nth root of some number a, right? But here, it is the nth root of a to the n power, right? So now, now instead of just taking the square or the nth root of some number, now we're taking it to something that's raised to that same power, right? So the nth root or the nth root of a to the n power. So yeah, what this first thing is talking about is if n is a positive odd integer. Again, we're talking about the n here. So if this is odd, then it just equals a. So this would just equal a if n is odd. The other property here is saying that if n is positive, a positive even integer, it's the absolute value of a. So remember that your absolute value, yeah, the absolute value of numbers, like the absolute value of 3 is 3. So the absolute value, again, is the distance from 0. But what the operation does is it changes whatever you have to a positive number, right? So it changes +3 to a +3. But if you had a -3, well, it changes that to a +3, right? So when you evaluate a single number in here, it changes that to positive. You can think of it, it's operating on it, so it changes that. Okay, so if n is a positive integer, that is what that is saying. don't know if I can do this super well. Put that over there, right? And then the other one is saying this is the absolute value of A. The writing is a little bit smaller than I planned, so I'll make sure to make it larger next time. If n is even. So that in short is what it's talking about. So if we look at this, this is even, right? So what this is going to equal, you can think of these as canceling each other out, but you end with the absolute value of -3, and that's going to equal 3. Um, for here, what this rule is saying is if you've got a negative underneath here, a negative, but you're raising it to an even power, remember that that's just multiplying it an even amount of times, right? So this is a +9, this is a +9. So it still comes out to a positive number underneath the square root. So you're not really taking the square root of a negative number because you multiply it by itself 4 times, an even number. Oh, so that is, not breaking any rules like that. I don't know why I erased that, to tell you the truth. Okay. Okay, so down here, again, this is an even number. So, or excuse me, it's an odd number, 5. So when you evaluate this, these two essentially cancel each other out, and you're left with -3. This pin is very strange. Okay, so I want to do a couple of examples that look a little more hectic. Move it down to right here. Okay, so for example, I want to do these. Yeah, we'll do the square root of x to the 8th power. Right? So remember, we're trying to evaluate the square of this, right? The square root, right? So there's a little 2 there. So what we want to do is we want to apply the same thing we did up above. Okay, yes.
My chat thing's not working. I was wondering why
Mhm.
on the first example the
Mhm.
answer is 3 and then at the bottom the answer is -3.
Uh,
Wouldn't it both be positive?
where are we at? Oh, right here.
Yeah.
So we get a -3 here. The reason that it doesn't turn out to positive is when you multiply, let's do one that isn't such a large number. So if we did like the cubed root of -27. Oh gosh. I got rid of the punchline even before I was there. So if we did the cubed root of -3 cubed, right? Again, it's kind of just a shortcut where if you have this, you can just say, well, that is equal to that. But what's happening here is if you've got -3 cubed, you're multiplying this inside to itself 3 times, right? So -3 times -3 times -3. So that gives you -27. Now, again, this is odd, so it's okay to have a negative underneath the radical, right? It makes sense. It's saying what number, this right here, the cube root of -27 is saying what number times itself 3 times gives you this? Well, it's -3. -3 times itself 3 times gives you -3, which is why that is a positive, or excuse me, that's why that's negative, and that's just positive.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh, Again, this is just trying to kind of help where you won't have to always multiply it out and try to evaluate it. Good question. Let me erase this here. Oh, okay. I always say that, but it's probably good to just leave it in there. Okay. Um, Going down here, we were talking about this example. I have a couple more properties to talk to you guys about. So don't let me forget after this example to do that. Okay. So here we want to make it the same as we did before, right? We want there to be a 2 up here, right? We want to make it look like this, right? We want the nth root and we want something to the nth power, right? So we can just cancel it out and get a. Down here, keep in mind that with x to the 8th, we can rewrite this, right? The question is, I want to figure out what the blank goes in here, but we can break apart this power. Now, another exponent rule, which again, we haven't covered a whole lot. I'll do a little box over here. This is an exponent rule. It's saying that if you have the same base, so x to the m power raised to the nth power, so x to the m raised to the nth power, that's the same thing as x m times n. So it's saying you multiply those two together. You know, again, be thinking you have, yeah, I'll leave it at that right there. So we're going to go back to this example here. This is going to help us get through this problem here. So hopefully you can see that the number that should go here is a 4, right? It's saying when you break this apart, you can rewrite x to the 8th as x to the 4th raised to the 2nd power. And the reason that's so helpful is now we can apply what we saw up above, where we've got x to the 4th squared. Anyone with a, you want to unmute and say what this is going to equal? Okay, it's going to give us, just like the property set up above, the absolute value of x to the 4th. But again, this is kind of redundant because any number raised to the even power is always going to be positive. So this is just x to the 4th, and that is what your answer is here. So your solution is x to the 4th. So we're going to see problems like that, but there's a couple properties I want to cover before we break into a couple of examples. So some useful properties. What are we doing with time? Okay, good. So useful properties. The first one is saying that if you have the square root, or here, let's be super general about it. Let's say the nth root. So the nth root of a times b is the same thing as the nth root of a times the nth root of b. So that means you can separate what's inside of there and get those two separate. Another property, right, this goes the other way too. You could multiply them back together. The other one is, we'll go nth root again, a divided by b. So if you have a square root with a fraction inside, you can break it apart just like you did up here, where you've got now the nth root of a divided by the nth root of b. And so those two properties are very useful. The book didn't mention them, which was weird. Or maybe I just skipped over them. So that right there, yeah, those are the properties. Any questions? Any other ones before we go down and look at some examples? Okay, again, this daily work isn't due. As I kind of said here before, you're going to have 3 daily works due each week. And because we have so much material to cover, I'm going to assign you already have 1 daily work due. It's from the videos I made previously, so that's already up on Blackboard and Alex. Your other one tomorrow will be covering a lot of material, so it might be a little lengthier. But so just, you know, this material might be on the test, but you're not going to have a daily work over that. Okay, so here's some examples. This is what the daily work worksheets look like. You guys are obligated to say they don't look as good as the ones I made. So you can put that in the chat. And I know that it's true. Okay, so
They look great.
thank you. These don't. The ones I make look good. The Alex ones look
Right.
overproduced. Look at that. What is this? Rights reserved? No one's going to steal that.
You
Thank
said
you.
those are on Alex?
Yeah, so if I made you an assignment on Alex, like I've made you a couple daily works, this one isn't due. This one here, we're going to work together. But the one the one for sections 5.6 and 5.7, that's up there. So if you go to Blackboard, this is what you'll see. If you do your daily work through Alex, you'll actually just have the regular Alex screen. So there are two options to do your daily works now. You can print it out or look at the PDF like no one can see my hand motions. Um, I'm pointing to the screen. Yeah, if you go to Blackboard, this is how your daily work will look. If you go on to Alex, it'll look just like you're doing regular Alex topics.
I looked for them on Alex and I didn't see them on there. I
Um,
don't know where they're at.
you should be able to go to, switch over here. Okay, so here I'm in student view. If you click these three drop-down arrows, you should be able to go to assignments. And
Oh,
assignments, oh my gosh, okay, it timed me out again. But if you go there, it'll show you the daily work.
okay.
Again, if there's any more questions, we can talk about it tomorrow. We'll go back through it because I'd have to log back on and do all that fun stuff. All right, let me go back here. We'll work a couple of these. I think I even have the answers down here so we can double check my work here. Okay, so again, this is where the first property comes in handy, right? Because you can break this apart into what is the square root of 36 divided by the square root of 25. Evaluating those, we get 6/5. Again, just going through those. I don't know what the emoji is in the chat. It looks like a unicorn, but it could be a ghost. Yeah, I don't know what that is. So, okay, here, again, remember that when you got a negative on the outside of the square root, oh, I see, okay. It's -1 times the square root of 25, right? So that is the same thing as just -1. Oh, wow, that's bad looking. -1 times 5 or -5. Here, we can't have a negative underneath the square root. So this is no real solution. So that is what that would be. Going down a little bit further, leave it right there. We've got x to the 18th. So again, anytime you don't see anything written, it's a square root. So you could put a little 2 there to remind you that it's a square root. So, right, our goal here is to get let me erase it again, is to get, something like that, right? We want to be able to use that property we used up above. And so to do that, the question here is, how can I break apart 18 or x to the 18th power to have that? And hopefully you see, well, you can have a 2 out there, but then that means you're essentially dividing that into 2, so you get 9. That looks really weird spread out. Okay, I think that was just an email that sounded. I'll make sure to silence those next time. Okay, so yeah, you can rewrite it like that. And so this is what is going to go in here. So evaluating it, again, you get the absolute value of x to the 9th, which again, yeah. So you get the absolute value of x to the 9th, like that. That would be your solution for that. I think that's how they want it reported, or just x to the 9th. Okay, thought that'd be a little extra there. Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the reason that we can write it like this, right? Because you're probably thinking that's weird. It's because your variable represents a positive number, right? So because it's always positive, you can just write it without the absolute value. So that is what this whole jargon down here is telling you can do, is just write it without the absolute value. The cube root of 64. Now again, if you don't have that thing handy, the list of things that I printed off, the goal again is using the same. Can you explain how you go? Yes. So let's look at a different example. So let's go the cubed root of x to the 15th. Okay, so we want to evaluate this. Um, what you want to do is using the property we did up above, this kind of idea of this here. We want to know, right? We want this. We want to figure out like what goes in here, right? We want to be able to rewrite x to the 15th so that it's actually something to the third power, right? So we're just dealing here with the inside here. So, oh gosh, I just unmiked myself. Okay. Again, when you raise stuff to the power, right? So you're actually like asking what number goes here. What number times 3 gives you 15? 5, right? So that right there is what would go in there, saying that you can break apart x to the 15th as x to the 5th raised to the third power. Um, and then again, you get this like nice cancellation here. The nth root. I'm gonna erase this real quick. I can't find the erase button. Just to make it look a little bit nicer, like that. So you get just x to the 5th, right? So the trick here is to be able to rewrite your exponent to get that there. Good question. Here it's the same idea, except you could use that chart that's up there, right? The blue chart. But it might not always be handy, and especially if it's not on the chart, that could be bad. So the ways you can go about solving this type of problem is remember your factor tree. So, because again, the goal, sorry, just like we did up here, the goal is to take this, and we want to be able to express it with something to the third power, right? We want to be able to break apart 64 and write it like that. Yes. So the absolute value, it's like the absolute value is letting us of like, it's a way of telling us. Let me go back up here real quick. Where are we? Okay, yeah. So this right here is just kind of like helping us explain like how this cancels out here. The internet's being wonky, so hopefully it'll hold there. So yeah, basically we're just learning how to evaluate square roots. And this is one way to think about it, to go about that evaluation. Okay, so to do this, your factor tree will help you break this apart. I mean, again, you could look at it, but um, we're probably going to have 2, right? 2, and then this would be 30, oh gosh, 32. Breaking that apart again, 2 and no. It'd be 16, wouldn't it? 16, 2, and 8. This is rough because if I was in class, I would have you guys walk me through that, but I had to do that on my own. Treading water over here. Okay, so count up the number of 2s, right? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what we have is 2 to the 6th power is 64. So now we want to know, well, we know that this is 2 to the 6th power. So again, I want something to the 3rd power so I can cancel it out. We're going to have 2 to the 2nd, because again, we multiply it, right? Our missing blank here got worse. Yeah, our blank right here is sorry, write it like this, right? We want to know what number raised there would, yeah, what multiplied by this would give you 6, so it's 2. So we have 2 to the 2nd power. So your cancellation, I don't know where my pin options are. Right? I don't like to use the word cross out, but you've got this root that crosses out with that, and then you're left with just 2 squared, which is 4. So same idea, but now instead of like but instead of having it in this form, you have to use your factor tree to write it out and then get up to there. Okay, so this right here is now just a combination of both. So it looks kind of bad, but it really is just putting these two together. So to work this out, remember our property that said we could separate them. So that means this is now the fourth root of 16 times the fourth root of y to the 28th, right? So now we've got two things to work with here. Oh, I'm in the chat menu. There we go. Okay, so um, if we evaluate this first, the fourth root, so again, 16, we want 4, right? We want, try to organize this a little bit better. If you do your daily work with this like printout, I would say doing on a separate sheet of paper would be better. They don't give you enough like room to do this, which is why I never printed these out and gave them to you because they're just not super useful. Okay, so right, the goal here is we've got something to the fourth power, right? So we want to be able to rewrite it like that. I'll do this one and then I will probably end it. The y to the 28th is similar, but I think these need a little more explanation. So again, to break this apart, make your factor tree. So we have 2, 8, 2 and 4, 2 and 2. So now we've got 4 2's, right? We've broken apart this into its prime factorization, its primes, and they're all a bunch of 2's. So that means 16 is the same thing as 2 to the fourth power. So we've got 2 to the fourth power. Well, hold on, I kind of skipped it there. So again, here we want to be able to write 2 to the fourth power as something to the fourth power, which is, you know, we're just moving this 2 outside. So you can think of it as 2 to the first power, right? 2 times, or 1 times 4 gives you 4. So we end up with 2. So we actually just have 2. So that's one way to evaluate these different types of roots. Would anyone like to see the other example for y to the 28th? Okay, okay. So I'm going to separate it like this. So this is part I, part 2i. So remember, you break them apart. Like it's a lot easier to evaluate them when they're separated. So now here, man, it's like they said the pen was designed also for left-handed people, but that's a lie because it's so strange to use. So y to the 28th, the fourth root of y to the 28th. So we gotta, again, our goal here is if we can raise whatever that is to the fourth power, we can essentially just cancel it out and we're left with whatever is in the inside here. So that means we want to be able to take y to the 28th, and there's our blank here, right? We have to figure out what value goes here. You can even give it a letter, right? You could say if this was y to the a power, right? Because now what we want to know, oh, hey, there's the answers. What we want to know is the a value is whatever 4 times a is, right? So what number times 4 gives you 28? 7, right? So the number here, 7. So when you write that in, you've got y to the 7th raised to the 4th power. This cancels or undoes itself, and you end with just y to the 7th. So combining these two together, if you've watched the YouTube video of the last 2 sections, you've realized how difficult it was for me to change colors. Again, definitely watch it. Hit like and subscribe. It's good. It covers the rest of exam 3 material and will help you with the daily work that is due. Okay, so we end with 2 y to the 7th. So that is how you would do that. So just, work on breaking apart these roots. Again, it all goes back to, um, sorry, it all goes back to this way of evaluating it there. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to look at it. So this is just the way the book suggested here. Okay, so that ends this online meeting here. Again, it's shared. I'm going to upload it here whenever we're done. So you're welcome to come back and take a look at it. We are meeting tomorrow at the same time. So I'm going to go and delete the survey. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but we're just going to meet Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays from 7:05 to 8:25 or whenever we're done with the notes. So is your link? I think so. Let me pull up the syllabi real quick. Uh, oh, I don't know why I hit that. Okay, so going back here, can't remember. If it's not up, I will put it here in the announcements for you. The department has its own YouTube channel, but everyone's making YouTube videos, and so they're currently behind. They haven't given me my official Wichita State YouTube like playlist yet, and so they're up there, I'm sure, but I don't know what my official Wichita State is. So we're currently using my regular one, which has a couple other math videos up there. So you're welcome to check out some graph or some game theory. I made a presentation back in my master's. So anyway, what am I doing? Syllabus. That's what I'm opening up. Okay. So if you've checked out the syllabus, I've highlighted everything in yellow that has changed. So um, yeah, the office hours again will be here. I think this is the same one. I don't think it changed. So this is the link to it. I'll release the office hours again will just be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, regular class time. Email or discussion board. Uh, the SI tutor. So if you want more help, or I'm not available or something like that, you can talk to Tasneem. I forgot an S. So Tasneem will help you. She can create like Zoom meetings and have like the same setup as this is right here. Um, yeah, that's just me switching stuff, like getting rid of the survey and stuff like that. If you have trouble with your internet or you don't have access, you can go to this link right here. And WSU is trying to provide everybody with internet access. I'm not sure what's required, but there's some stuff to fill out, so you're welcome to do that. I've crossed things out when I thought they weren't, everyone can see this, right? Just making sure I'm, okay, good. I didn't want to like just be talking and something else be showing. Okay. Um, you can read through all this stuff. I guess I don't have my YouTube question. So a long answer to a very short question is no. But I will post it. I will figure out what that playlist is. See if there's anything else important here. Discussion boards. I haven't updated the final stuff yet, so I'll have to do that. Yeah, the PDF format's pretty important. It's easier for me to make corrections on and make stuff. No, good question. So, oh, you do? Perfect. So, the daily work will be due Sundays, the same as the topics. I think that'll work out. It's just so you can ask questions and stuff like that. So yeah, the daily work will be due Sunday. I might have it set for Friday, now that I think about it, but I will go back and change it because I think having both the topics and the daily work due Sunday at midnight is best. So that is when the 3 daily works will be due. And so I'll update grades accordingly. Um, again, all this is just from the regular syllabus, nothing changed. Yeah, I'm using Zoom. Interactive. Again, make sure to be checking Alex for the interactive stuff. You can meet with your, I put this in here, accordance to the CDC requirements. So make sure you're not, being healthy and stuff. Yeah, and just keep me updated with everything, with how everything is going. Again, this doesn't change. Your Alex is still worth 20% in attendance and participation, which is your daily work. That should say daily work. Daily work is your attendance. So completing those, so you don't technically have to show up to these online meetings, but as long as you complete those, everything will be good. Yeah. Any other questions?
I had a question on the daily work. I don't know which one it is, but it's the first one posted.
Uh,
Question number 4. I don't understand what it's asking.
okay. I don't know if I have it open down here. Okay, we'll just go open it up here. Okay, is it the word problem one?
Yeah.
Okay, go back. Yeah, it's probably that super lengthy. Oh, okay. So it's this one, right? What about, okay. Brian, I talked about the tests at the beginning. Basically, it's going to be on Alex. You'll log on to Alex, complete the test on like a lockdown browser, and then you should submit your Scratch work through Blackboard. So that way I can give you partial credit because Alex is just going to grade it, and you'll either get like it completely correct or completely wrong. So submitting the Scratch work will let me like get around that. So that's how the test will be. Final will be through Blackboard and not Alex, but we'll talk about the closer we get. So your test will be open Friday and Saturday, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. Okay, so question 4.
No, yours looks different than mine.
Oh, do you have it open through Blackboard or Alex?
Alex.
Okay, yeah, so the Blackboard will all just have the same question because Alex will vary between them. But if we look at this, I'll work this and then you can see if you can work that one there. So we'll work through this here. I do like this one note because I can just copy and paste the problem there. Okay, so we have that y varies inversely with x, y equals 2 when x is equal to 9. Okay, so what we're looking at here is this y varies inversely with x. So that is like a super important statement that will help us figure out how we're going to set up this equation, right? So we want the equation, and the equation is going to help us solve for y. Help us solve for y. So when we're talking about y varies inversely with x, we're saying that y is going to be equal to some constant, some constant of variation, and that is divided by x. So that is what y varies inversely with x is saying. Also, if you wanted to solve for k, you multiply both sides by x and you get y times x is equal to k. So that is what these two could go in for there. For right now, we'll use y times x is equal to k. I think that'll be the best. Go back here real quick. I don't know how to. Oh, that's why it's messing up. I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody again. It's just because I think it'll swap over between people's screens. So this is a good way to do that. Okay, so this right here, this whole part here is just by definition of what this is. Y varies directly with x would look a little bit different. So make sure that you know the difference between those two. But now, when we want to find y, given that x is equal to 3, we can't quite do it yet. Because if we plug in everything we have, we only have 3, right? So we've got, or hold on, y times 3 is equal to k. So notice that we can't do anything yet. We still have we have k and y that are unknowns. So what we can do is before you do b, so before b, we need to find what your constant of variation k is. So we've got y is equal to x. Oh, wow. No. We got y times x is equal to k. So that's where this info here comes in at. But we know this relation between them, and because we have this, we're able to figure out what that is there, that down here. So let me write that a little better. So we're going to substitute these values in, and that'll give us k, because we'll have both x and y, and then we'll be able to solve for k. So we've got 2 times 19 is equal to k, so k is equal to 18. So then going back here, we can plug this in. So we've got, again, y, oh gosh, we've got y, y times x is equal to k. So plugging in y, you get y. X is 3, and then now k is 18. So now we've got y times 3 is equal to 18. So when we divide by 3, y is equal to 6, which is how you would do that. So it'll be really similar to the one that you have. If it's varies directly, I would, varies directly is a little bit different. The starting equation looks slightly different. But take a look at the daily work. That will help you prepare for the test. And then also, everyone should have gotten a review. I'm going to close this real quick. Close this. No, where's it at? Sorry. Oh, here it is. Everyone should have gotten this review. There. You said daily work is. Yeah. So the daily work is either on Alex or Blackboard. So you have both places to turn it in at. It's just if people don't like working on Alex, you can still have the joy of writing it on paper. Yeah. So I'll resend this. Basically, your exam is going to be through Alex, but I've chosen the same topics on this review as I did on Alex. So they'll look pretty similar. Again, the format's going to be wildly different because it's online, but the question types. Personally, I think that this would have been easier, like this test I made, because some of them you see twice. Like some of the answers you'd solve with another one, but I couldn't do that off Alex. Like for example, oh, I can't write on it. Yeah, this is really similar to that. But anyway, what you should do is be reviewing this review. And at the end of the lesson tomorrow, you can ask some questions off of this, and we can work a couple if you would like. But make sure you're checking the 3 videos I made over 5.6 and 5.7, completing the daily work for those, and then yeah, just kind of getting caught back up on Alex, like working these reviews here. Yeah, I think that does it for tonight. Any other questions? Any other things? I'll unmute everybody. Or some people. Okay. Again, this is going to be quite a shift, right? Going online. So just let me know if you have any questions. I actually changed some things, what I was going to do right before we met. So it's all just, we're trying to figure it out. But I think this will work. Yeah. So I gave extensions to people over spring break for Alex, but I could open up, like, how many weeks did we have for this exam? So we had weeks 9, 8, and part of 7. So 7, 8, and 9. So yeah, I mean, I could extend those. Extending week 9. Oh, and have you seen on Alex that weeks 9, 11, and 12 are all due like April something? I want to say it's like April 12th, I think. So you have quite a few days to do those. So yeah, yeah. So I mean, if you want an extension or something, just send me an email, and I can do that. It's easier to like do it selectively there's no way to like mass extend everybody's Alex. I can, but it deletes everybody's progress, which is awful. So I'm just gonna do that. So okay, well, yeah. If you have more questions, you're welcome to ask them. If not, I can quit and we can just convene tomorrow at 7:05. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting. Again, 7:05, we'll meet up. This will be uploaded here tonight, so I'll start the upload here.
See you
So,
tomorrow.
yep, everyone have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.